Now is Florida Congressman Greg Steube, a member of the House Ways and Means Committee and the Weaponization of the Federal Government Select Subcommittee. He's also an U.S. Army and Operation Iraqi Freedom veteran. Congressman, great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for joining me. So what do you make over the issue at hand in terms of Israel? I mean, we just saw the horrible story of the 6 hostages dead in the tunnels of Rafah, and it was deliberate. I mean, they told us later that they killed them knowing that the Israeli defense fighters were close and were about to rescue them. And you have in the middle of all of this Joe Biden continuing to point to Bibi Netanyahu as someone who's in the wrong, and he keeps getting attacked.
Yeah, it's very frustrating as a former military service member who served in the Middle East to see our country not standing with Israel, our partner, instead of lecturing them after they were attacked by terrorists. This ceasefire could end tomorrow. Hamas could surrender and then return all the hostages, and it would cease. Israel has said that. Leaders have said that, but Hamas is refusing to do that. And why is our government, why is Biden and the Biden administration trying to negotiate and not stand with our ally Israel and try to convince them to work out some type of deal with a terrorist organization that is Hamas, that is responsible for raping and beheading children and all of the atrocities that they did in Israel? We should be standing with Israel and saying until the complete elimination of Hamas is completed, we're going to stand with Israel until it's done.
Yeah, look, I want to get to the Chinese spy in the governor's office in New York in a second, but I've got to get your take, since you're on House Ways and Means Committee, about what happens when you all come back in session next week. Do you expect Mike Johnson to attach the SAVE Act to a continuing resolution to fund the government?
Well, you know, when did he meet with President Trump? Like 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago now that they said they were going to do this bill. And yes, they should attach it to something. I mean, if Democrats are going to say it's a non-starter, that we're going to tell non-citizens they can't vote in our election, well, they need to explain that to the American people, that they think that non-citizens and illegal immigrants should be able to vote in our federal election. So it absolutely should be attached. It sounds like that's the plan, is to attach that to what is going to be a CR. I've never voted for a CR because I don't believe that we should be extending the Nancy Pelosi spending spree during the COVID era. We're $35 trillion in debt. At some point, Washington has to say enough is enough. We have to get our fiscal house in order.
Yeah,
but if they attach the SAVE Act to it.
You keep saying that, but we keep seeing continuing resolutions.
Yeah, I don't vote for them, but you continue to see them. There's a number of conservatives that don't vote for them, but what ends up happening is you have all the Democrats and the more moderate Republicans that join together to keep the government funding. I supported shutting the whole thing down 2 years ago with the atrocities at the border and saying, look, the American people are with us on the border. Why don't we say, Joe Biden, we're shutting down the government until you shut down the border? And we haven't done that. Yeah. So it's very frustrating, but the least we could do as a Republican House is ensure that non-citizens aren't voting in our elections. There's some states that allow just a driver's license that you can get as a non-citizen to register to vote. Yeah. That's completely atrocious that non-citizens are voting in our federal elections. And there is many studies that show that they have changed the outcome of elections.
I mean, you would think that the Democrats want American citizens to vote, right? So why won't they just bring the SAVE Act to the floor in the Senate?
Because they know that they let all these illegal immigrants into our country to give them the ability to vote. We all now know that as a fact. They talk about it openly. So they don't want to prohibit non-citizens from voting because most of them vote Democrat. This has been they don't care about the safety and security of the American people. They care about allowing 12 million illegals into our country and then giving them the ability to vote. So it's very telling that they're not willing right before an election to ensure that non-citizens can't vote in our elections.
Well, that's very discouraging. Also discouraging is how the Chinese Communist Party has been able to get its hooks into the Democrat Party in such a way. Now we understand a former top aide, the deputy chief of staff to New York governors Kathy Hochul and Andrew Cuomo, was arrested and charged as an acting agent of the Chinese government. 41-year-old Linda Sun, accused of using her high rank to serve the Chinese Communist Party in exchange for millions of dollars in gifts. Her husband was also arrested. Comes as the House could vote on multiple China-related bills during its upcoming China Week next week. Congressman, your reaction?
Well, not surprising. Look at all of the compromising behavior of the Biden family and Hunter Biden and all the money that the Chinese Communist Party dumped into Hunter Biden's businesses that then got funneled to the big guy. It's not a surprise. You see Eric Swalwell and his involvement in a Chinese spy. It's not shocking at all. It's time to stand for the America First agenda and get out all of this corruption out of our political system.
Well, I mean, are you really going to be able to do that? Joe Biden came into office and canceled the China initiative. So who's holding China to account as the fentanyl keeps flowing into America, the intellectual property keeps getting stolen of American police stations are on the ground in China. Of course, there has been no accountability whatsoever for unleashing COVID on the world and then covering it up.
Yeah, President Trump is the only hope for our nation to have some justice in all of those things. And hopefully people will get out and vote in November.
All right, Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much.